evening. Hope you're joining me for Painters Clubhouse tonight for yard art. I'm doing a gnome Santa. He is so cute. I hope you saw the little preview when I was still working on him that Mary posted. But he is just the cutest thing. He's holding his big ornament. You could put a name in this ornament. He is just the cutest thing and so easy to paint. We're going to work on him tonight. So I hope you're going to join me. I see Mary is on there and Debbie. Good to see you all. You're going to have to forgive my voice. Every time I wear a mask all day long, I start getting hoarse. So I wore it to church. Then I went to see Smokey, and I get to see him for 2 hours. And of course, I have to have an N95 and a face shield when I see him. And then I went and did a little bit of shopping right after I finished that. So until I got back home earlier this evening, I had that mask on all day. And my asthma and my allergies and all just stopped me up. So you all have to bear with me while I clear my throat. And I have some Sonic tea to help a little bit. But this is the Christmas gnome. And he is so fun to paint. So I'm going to start out by showing you the colors that I use. You could, of course, change your ornament color. But I wanted to stay traditional with red and green on this one. So, of course, I used the white, which is number 35. White's a staple. And so is our black, number 37. White and black. I used Christmas green, which is number 11, for the ball. And then the polka dots on the ball, I used lime green, number 10. I shaded the ball with dark green, number 12. My red, I'm going to pull my red out. My red for all my Santa is number 20, red. And I shaded it with number 23, shading red. There wasn't much face on him, but he does have a nose and a little bit of cheek showing. So I used the flesh, number 29, and the shading flesh, number 30, for just a little bit to give his nose a little bit of dimension. His fur is white, and I shaded it with the light gray, which is number 24. Didn't use much of it, but just a little bit of light gray. But his beard, I wanted different than the fur of his hat and his pants. So I used beard blue, number 3, to shade his beard. His little bitty lip right there, I used shading pink, but it could easily be red if you don't want to add that shading pink and the little highlight. The only color that are not Mary and Ashley's colors from Yard Art is my gold at the top of my ball and my jingle bell that's on his hat. And Ashley actually found this, and I went and got some at Hobby Lobby. But this is Outdoor Living Americana Deco, and this is the gold. I painted the top of the ornament the gold, and then I have this same paint in the silver. And I put the Jingle Bell silver, and I didn't like it. I thought it distracted to have gold here and the silver over there. So either use, I decided that I thought it looked better to either use both gold or both silver. Sometimes the top of these ornaments are silver. So depending on which one you want to use. But this is the Outdoor Living from Deco Art, and this is their silver metallic, and it is an outdoor paint. Otherwise, you could glitter those. You could use your glitter yellow, and you could glitter this and the, or you could just use yellow for that matter. Either one of those. But this is the Christmas gnome. So I'm going to start right away painting him because he's easy and he's so much fun. I didn't take the stand off of it. I can grab hold of this stand and move him around easier and pick him up without touching the edges. It's a little bit of trouble to have it on there, and you can leave it on or you can take it off, but I found that it was just easier to leave it on there. I found I needed 2 coats of almost all of my colors. The first thing I'm going to show you is my polka dots. Now, you could leave that ball solid. You could put a name in there. You can decorate that Christmas ball any way that you want to. I wanted to put polka dots in it. I've got a thing for polka dots. Plus, later I'm going to use a cameo and I'm going to cut out a vinyl name and one of my grandchildren's names, and I'm going to put on there. But I wanted the polka dots. To me, it's easy to make polka dots. You can make them with one of the foam pounce brushes. I have a stencil. So I put the stencil on there and kind of line it up so that I get most of them on there. And then I just draw my polka dots with a pencil and then hand paint them. To me, this is easier and faster. It's up to you how you choose to do it. And you don't even have to have the polka dots. I just think they add a little texture and add a little fun to that Christmas ball that's in there. All right, did I get them all? Let's lift it up and see if I got them all. Yep, I did. This is one of those stencils that I got over at Tuesday Morning. I use these stencils all the time. I think they make it go a little easier and a little faster. Okay. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my gray and I'm going to shade my fur. Doesn't matter which direction you go first. After you get your base coats on, you just got to start shading. So I'm going to shade my fur using my lid and a flat shader. I dip in one corner. You can see it this way. And I'll start down here at the bottom. And I want to shade around his feet. I'm going to come up, that beard is here, so I'm going to shade on the inside of that beard, because that's all fur. Shade around the bottom of my ornament. Around the sole of his shoe. I guess those are probably boots though, aren't they? So there's that fur. While I've got him on this side, I'm going to come up here to his arm and shade and just make a little highlight there. I'm going to come up to his hat, and this is the fur on his hat. Come beside his mustache, beside his cheek, around his nose. Nope, 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 nope. too far. That was his hair. His hat stops right here. So I just wipe it off. It's still wet, so I can just wipe it off. Okay, so that's his hat. Alright, I'm going to turn him upside down so I can get his other fur right here on his other leg. So there's all of the fur shading. Now I'm going to come on while I've got this gray and get me a highlight right here on his hat. So then I've got all of the gray shaded. So I'll put my gray up, wash my brush, and I'm going to get my beard blue, and I'm going to do the same thing. Rinse my brush out slightly. If it has a little gray left in it, that's okay too. And I'm going to get my beard blue. Come around my ornament. Now right here, I want to kind of make it a little wispy. I don't want a really heavy, hard line. So I'm using a really light pressure. Now, I want some flow in this beard. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to get some lines coming up like his mustache would flow down. Just a few extra little lines there for that mustache. And then right here, this is his hair. So I want to use my beard blue and come right in here for his hair. And I want just a line showing that's his hair right there. Same thing under his chin, or this is the part of his beard here. So I want to put some of my beard blue in here, and I want some lines because that's coming down from his chin. So come on the other side for his mustache. Just let those lines come around. I'm going to come down here and get the edge. And then this is his hair over here. So I'm going to put some beard blue in here and just so that gets the top part, but we still have down here at the bottom. So I'm going to turn him upside down so I can look at it and get it so you can see. So I'm outlining along the edge. Then I'm going to come and make those lines. And I want that line not to be a real straight line. So I'm coming back in and making that line not so straight. So that's all I'm doing for the beard blue for right now. So I've got those lines of beard blue for his mustache and his beard. Now I'm going to take my flesh, my shading flesh, and I want a little bit smaller brush. Let's see if I can find me a smaller brush here. There we go. This one's clean. And I want this nose to pop out. So I'm going to put some shading flesh on both sides of the nose and let it feather out onto the cheeks. And you almost could just fill in the cheek for that matter. And then I want to outline with my shading flesh this nose. And I probably put a good, between a 1/4 inch and a 1/2 inch line around that nose. But while it's still wet, I'm going to take my flesh and I'm not going to clean my brush, I'm just going to wipe it off so it's not real wet. And I'm going to take some of my flesh and I'm going to come right along the edge and blend that together so that I don't have a hard line around that nose. I want the nose to be three-dimensional. So I'm just letting that blend in. And I'm going to do the same thing over here in the cheek. I just don't want really hard lines, so I'm blending that in. So then that nose starts looking real three-dimensional for you. See how that nose, and I've got a glare from my ceiling light, but that way the nose looks three-dimensional. It looks like he's got that bulbing kind of nose that he needs. All right, next thing, I'm going to take my Christmas green to do my polka dots. Hope y'all had a great Sunday. I left this morning to go to church, and it was not it was sunny at my house, and by the time I got to church, it was raining. Of course, I didn't take my raincoat, but it was just a misty rain. And then after church, it was just bright and sunny again, so it was a beautiful day. But I got to Smokies to Tuscany Village, and they have to take your temperature. Well, I got there early, went through McDonald's and got me a drink and a biscuit, and got there early and sat in the car and ate it. And the sun was coming in, and I felt real pleasant and real nice. Went to the door for them to take my temperature, and my temperature was 99.5. And they said, well, you can't come in. You've got temperature. I said, I've been sitting in my car for 20 minutes waiting to come in, and the sun was shining, and I didn't have the air conditioner on. I turned it off. So he said, well, you can come back and try again later. So I went over to the shade of the building, stood in the shade and the wind was blowing. I stood out there about 15 minutes, so I went back over to the door and I said, "Will you take my temperature again?" And he said, "Oh yeah." So he took it. It was 97.5. So, so I got to go in, but I was worried that I wasn't gonna get to go in. Okay, I've got my Christmas green. And it's going to take 2 coats. I can tell that right now for them to really stand out. And I may, on the other one, I used Christmas green with lime polka dots because I wanted, I'm going to put a grandchild's name on each one of these, so I wanted the ornaments to look a little different. So that's not standing out a lot, but the second coat may let it stand out more. We'll see. But I'm putting Christmas green on top of this lime green. I like the traditional colors. If my granddaughter was a real girly girl, I probably would make this ball pink and blue, or pinks with the light pink and the shading pink. But she hates pink. She doesn't want anything pink. So for the boys, I'm using a green ball, so I'll make her a green one too. And that way they'll all be the same, but I'll just do the polka dots a little bit different. And I painted the mittens the dark green, number 12. But I'm going to highlight them with this Christmas green. And then I'll add a white highlight on there too. And this tone on tone is kind of interesting. From a distance, it's not going to show up really well, but up close, it's going to be kind of interesting. I'll let this dry, and while this is drying, I'll do the shading red for his suit, and then come back and put another coat on there, and it probably will be bright enough. To get those edges smooth, I kind of let the brush do the work. Kind of spin it, and the edge of the brush will do the work for you. Okay. Let that dry. While that's drying, I'll get my shading red and we'll shade his suit. Now this is the first shading red that I got, and it's the little 1 ounce one, and I'm still using it. It goes such a long way. I am still using it. So don't discount getting these little ones, especially on the shading colors. Now, obviously, you need the big red if you're going to do a lot of Christmas, which is, this is 6 ounces. So you're going to need a lot of the red, but the shading ones, you're not going to need as much. And I love this paint because it gives such good coverage. They're such vibrant, pretty colors. here. This brush may be a little bit too big. Yeah, that's all right. Okay, then we'll come up to his hat. Now I'm going to stop. There is the CNC cut line is right here that gives you dimension in his hat. So I'm going to stop there, and I'm going to come up and trail off so that you get a little bit of a crease there. And I'm going to fan that out slightly so that looks just slightly deeper, because I'm coming on over here on this side, and I'm going to do the same thing. This CNC line is right here, so I'm going to come across and I'm going to go out just a little bit more and let it trail off so that that hat is coming up just a little bit. And highlight there, put a highlight here. Come right along the side of his face, where his hat is. And we've got a little bit in here. Probably part of his arm right there. Come up beside his beard. Well, that's his mustache, I guess. And come down. If my line is not real smooth, I come back in when my brush is kind of dry and go right along the edge of that and feather that out slightly. This way. I'm continually turning him so that I get the right angle to make my brush strokes smooth. Okay. Now I'm going to get a little bit of a highlight line here. And I'm going to get one right in here. And on his legs here, these are his legs here, so we'll put one right there. Okay, so I've got the shading red done. Okay, on his feet, I've got his feet all painted black, but I want to show you on my painted one. I'll pull him back up. On the painted one, I took some black and added a little gray, so I got a little bit lighter value for the sole of his feet or his shoes, just so there's a little definition there that this is the sole. You've got the CNC line there. So I got solid black for his shoe, and then I added black and a little bit of gray to get that sole. So I put it in with my base coat all black. Then I'm going to take my gray put one line of gray down the center. And that's all the gray I'm going to use. I just took just a little bit of gray. Then I'm going to come back with my black. And I'm going to take some of my black and I'm going to mix it on the wood with my gray. I just touched a little black in there. And I'm mixing it as I'm painting it. Because I just want a shade lighter, a charcoal looking color. See, I've got a charcoal looking color right there. So I'm going to do the same thing over here with this one. Just add some black. Just keep painting back and forth until you get that next. Then it's fixed on there. So you've got just a little bit. Now you could take and you could put a little bit of a gray on each boot. Just like that. I'll come back and put a white highlight too. But you've got that gray. So now I've got gray on my boots. Okay, while this is drying, I want to show you my other one, and before I come back and start highlighting, I want to show you my other one and what I'm going to do to it. I'm going to use the black and white, the black buffalo plaid on all my red. So I already taped off my verticals, and I'm going to take my black and I'm going to take that real stiff brush that I've got and I'm going to dry brush. Now you could easily use the baby wipes, but I think I can control my dry brush with this brush a little bit easier than I can the baby wipes, as detailed as this is, because I want to get dry brush on my stripes, and I want I don't want it real dark, so I'm just putting a little bit in my red part, and when I get to the horizontal stripes, I can go a little bit darker, I guess you'd say. So I wanted this one to be buffalo plaid, just for something different. He's really cute with just the solid red, but like I said, I'm going to put these in my yard with my grandchildren, and I got 3 grandchildren, so I wanted slightly different. So I'm dry brushing this. I'm not putting a lot of black on there. And I'll do the highlighting or the shading after this is dry. I'm not using much paint. And this is an old stiff brush. You can use one of those chip brushes or an old brush that didn't clean up real good. I left my spacer there. Now that CNC line is there, so this one is off a little bit because I'm going to make that line come over, so I didn't want the plaid to be real even right in there. So you see I have an offset right there, and that's what that is for. Okay. And that's all I'm doing. So then I pull this tape off, because you pull the tape off immediately before it dries. And you can see I've got the stripe, and I could leave it striped. I wouldn't have to buffalo check it if I didn't want to, because a striped suit could also be just as good. Since it's going vertical, if it was going horizontal, they might think he's a jailbird, but it's going vertical, so he could have a red and black striped suit. But you can see how fast that goes. And I just dry brushed it, not a lot of paint. I'm gonna let this dry, and then I'll put my tape on horizontally so that I have my buffalo check. Okay, since I've got my black out, I'm going to get a fairly small highlighter. Here we go. And I'm going to highlight the beard. I think it's dry enough. And also the top of my ornament. It's dry enough. When I come in here and I'm going to outline the ornament top first. And you know, some of these have ridges, so I want to put ridges so that you know this is the ornament top. So I'm going to come in like this and curve them slightly. And I'll come back in with white, and I'll add white in there to give it more definition. But I do my black first, and the last thing I do is put that white in. And this little ring at the top will have a white highlight on that gold. If you put too much on there, it's so narrow, you're going to lose the definition on it. So I won't put anything except a white highlight, which would be like a little reflection. I haven't decided if I'm going to glitter these or not. I may. They're going to be so cute, not glittered, that that's a hard call. But outside, when the light's on, they really look good glittered. Okay, so that's all. I'm not going to do this right now because I still have to put a second coat on those. But I wanted to show you on my beard how I'm going to highlight my beard. Still have to put that red or pink mouth on there, but I'm putting a black area where his mouth is open a little bit. I'm going to come around here for the nose. I'm staying right in that groove that the CNC cut for me. Makes it really easy. Now I've got a screw right there, and I just paint over the top of that screw, trying to make it smooth so that you don't really know, and that screw just disappears. Now I'm not going to paint the top because I want to put my hand here and I don't want to get my hand in it. I want to come down and I want to add black in for my beard lines. This is a mustache, it's not a beard, it's a mustache. Clear down here, outline around my beard. I'll outline all of these CNC lines, but in order not to get my hand in it, I kind of do one area at a time rather than trying to do it all at once. I admire Ashley and Mary that they can outline all of theirs at one time, and on their tutorials they outline everything, and I'm just so impressed because I get my hand in it. So I do one area at a time and let it dry in between. That line needs to come right through because this one is following through. So it needs to come right through the center of that ring to follow through. So see, I've got this side of that mustache, and I do the same thing on the other side. And then when I outline here for the hat, even though I've got this gray, I'll come in here and I'll add a black highlight too. Same thing in my fur here. And down here on the feet. That one's kind of crooked. And then on the bell, turn it around over here on the bell. The bell, it has these holes where the sound comes out. So I'll fill those in black. And as I'm filling those in, I'm getting in that CNC line to fill up all of that. and fill that area up completely and go right down in that CNC line that makes that circle. And then a line on it to give it some definition. Then you'll go ahead and I'll put my hand in this one too. Do the top. I need that bigger liner for this area. This one's really too small. Now I outlined all the way around the bell. I thought it gave it enough definition to outline a black line, and it ran into this part, but I thought that was all right. Because I wanted that bell to stand out. Now do the same thing here with the bottom of the beard that I did with his mustache, but you saw how I did it on the mustache. So I'm gonna bring my finished one back up, talk about it. See, I just took the black outline and I just made curves like the beard would come. I put a white highlight in the sole and on the toe of each boot, and then a white highlight in all my other areas. The hat, I just have the black and the gray highlights. But then on the top of the hat here, a big white highlight to really accent those curves of the hat. And then a white highlight for the ball. I outlined this whole ball in the dark green so that it looked three-dimensional, and then highlighted it in white. I did not put my little commas in my polka dots because I'm going to put a name right here in the center. So I didn't want any more. I wanted them to fade into the background. So I highlighted white on his gloves. I already highlighted black, so I highlighted white on his gloves. So he's a pretty easy paint. I think you'll have a good time painting. When my other one is dry and I put the buffalo plaid, I'll post a picture of what it looks like with the buffalo plaid. But he's really cute, solid red. And, you know, you could do a green gnome with a green outfit and a red ball to trade him up. I've seen blue gnomes. If you like blue Christmas items, you could do him blue and then put a big red ball in the front. There's just so many possibilities with him. But he's in the store. Go by and pick him up. And gnomes are really good right now. So go by and pick him up, and happy painting. I'll see you next time. I don't know what I'm going to paint next time. We haven't talked about it. But I'm sure it'll be something fun because these blanks are the most fun to paint. You can get them online. If you go to yardartsrus.com, you can get them online. Same thing with the paint. You can go by the store, but they ship out every day if you're not local and you can't run by the store and pick them up. But happy painting. Y'all have a great Sunday. Good week. Enjoy this wonderful weather. See you next time. Bye-bye.